So the specific regulations that are required for the high priest the day before, the week before the Day of Atonement, are specifically accomplished here within the celestial heavens. Next, we take a look at the picture of the Gemini twins. And the Gemini twins, Bullinger thought both of them were a picture and an image of Christ and Jesus. That isn't the history, however, of this. The history of the Gemini twins is that they stood for the cherubim all over the world, and they hold a relationship all over the world to the twin he-goats, which are in the shepherd's lap. Now, the concept here has to do with the twins that are the twins of the cherubim of the ark. And so we really need to have the ark be opened here. And in Revelation it tells us that the tabernacle of the testimony is opened and that the ark is opened. And this is the testimony when you see the ark for the tribes to come, for Israel to follow after the ark. So it's important that we do this right. Of the ark it says you shall make four signets. 2 on one side and 2 on the other side. And the Big Dipper was considered by the ancients to be the ark. It was part of the royal arch of the solstice, also considered to be a coffin by its slow movement around the pole star. And so the essence is that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 signets. And there really are 4 signets for this type of the ark. The next is that they were supposed to place poles in the ark. There would be 2 signets on one side, and they would place a pole through it that may not be removed. And this we see here that these two stars are the signets, and that astrologers actually see a pointing finger here between these 2 stars, and that pointing finger is pointing to the pole star. If you're lost, Boy Scouts would look to these 2 points to find direction and look to this point. And we can find direction too if only we will hear the words. The Torah scroll is an image of the celestial heavens that on the right-hand side of the one pole would be a pointer finger. There is a pointer finger here. Above the pole would be a crown. And here we see a crown of the king. And what does it tell us in the Bible is that the king sat above the mercy seat above the ark. And the stars here, you can't see it, but there is a star here across the cover, which is called Kapura, which is the same name for the mercy seat that's placed upon the ark. So you actually have it here. The other 2 signets that we see are these 2 signets, and they are pointing also, and they pointed to, originally they would have pointed, and you can see they point to Draco, because Draco's right in front of them. And Draco was, and the way I look at it when it says may not be removed, was that although you couldn't remove the poles from the ark, the essence of what it was talking about was the day that not, or the negative entity, would be removed. And so the pole of Draco was to be cast down. Draco was at one time our pole star, but now what they're telling us is that these signets are now pointing towards Cygnus, which is the glorious swan. And Cygnus has within it stars that form a glorious cross. And we actually see that some of the initiates to the heavenly theater have drawn a picture of this cross that's on Cygnus and shown a picture of Jesus, and for the glory of Christ was on the cross, it said, and this is the idea here. The symbol also has a star in it, meaning Deneb, which is judgment. And when we see the glorious angel that's flying mid-heaven, that's speaking of judgment in Revelation, we're talking here about this glorious, I give that point to this glorious image of this cross right here. The next thing that we would have to know is that of the ark, it said, 2.5 cubits shall be the length thereof, and 2 means fold over and duplicate, half means bisect, and length means forever. So the idea is that we're bisecting something forever. How did that happen? We find this in the Babylonian creation myth. And what they tell us is that Draco originally had wings, and the Little Dipper here was the wings, and that in creation God split wood and he cut the wings off. In Genesis it said, in the beginning God created, and the word created meant to split wood. And that wood would have been split both on earth and within the heavens, because it says, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et ha'eretz. You heard the word et twice. That's in the beginning, God created, bara, create, and create means to split wood. Et means, is a word that doesn't get translated at all, but it's the letter aleph and the letter ta, and it's supposed to stand for all the letters in between. So if you were to split wood of this pole, which was at one time within the heavens, you would have to split off Little Bear, which is another pole, and therefore from the one pole in creation in the heavenly, according to Genesis, it says, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et ha'eretz, and that meant in heaven and on the earth. God, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Also in the beginning, God split wood in the heaven and in the earth, and that split of the wood was the essence within the heavenly theater of the two poles. And if we picture within that split the et, then we have all the letters of the Hebrew alphabet. To the Jews, this is important. They believe that God created the universe using the Hebrew letters. But it's also important for another reason. If we have two poles and all the letters, what do we have? We have a Sephira Yetzirah, only it has three poles and all the letters therefore. Now with the Sephira Yetzirah, the top portion, there are 10, we talked about the Sephira Yetzirah, there are 10 attributes and 22 letters that hang. There are 10 attributes and 22 letters that hang from that. And so, but the top of it is called the kether, and that means the crown. And the bottom of it is called malkut, and that can mean the pit. It also can stand for the bottom of a foot of man. So what I picture would be, this would be the kether, and this is the foot of the man, and the essence of the man himself having been split, that men can be considered to be trees and men can be considered to be all these things. So the essence of the idea of the king would be split in two parts. According to Judaism, God is a monad who chooses to express himself in a duality, and that split was seen within the cherubim. If you were to look at the ark and you were to say a cubit and a half shall be the length thereof, 2.5 cubits shall be the breadth thereof, we would have another way that we could do this. If we wanted to bisect this ark, we could bisect it according to this way. And in that case, if you draw a line from here to this signet, they tell us that it points to the cherubim. And the cherubim were considered to be to the Gemini twins. And the Gemini twins were considered to be the cherubim. All over the world, the images of cherubim exist. When we say, who are these owls? Finally, Leo is the next constellation, and Leo has 3 deacons. The deacons for Leo are Hydra, Crater, and Corvus. Hydra is a picture of the serpent, Crater is a picture of the cup, and Corvus is a picture of a raven.